Do you know there's an African kingdom with more pyramids than Egypt itself? Over 200 of them. It conquered Egypt, ruled it as pharaohs, and once forced a Roman army to retreat. Most people have never even heard its name. This is a story about a civilization that spent thousands of years standing in Egypt's shadow, despite being, in several ways, even more impressive. South of Egypt, along the Nile River, in what is now Sudan, lay the ancient region of Nubia, home to the Kingdom of Kush. Its earliest capital, Kerma, was already a thriving urban center by 2500 BC, controlling a stretch of the Nile as large as Egypt itself. For centuries, Egypt and Kush had a complicated relationship, sometimes trading partners, sometimes bitter rivals. During Egypt's New Kingdom period, Egyptian pharaohs conquered and colonized Nubia entirely, governing it directly for hundreds of years. The Kushites absorbed huge amounts of Egyptian culture, worshipping Egyptian gods, adopting Egyptian writing. But they never fully lost their own identity. When Egypt's New Kingdom finally collapsed around 1070 BC, Kush did something remarkable. Instead of fading away, it rebuilt itself as a fully independent kingdom, centered at a new capital, Napata. And then, under a king named Piye, Kush did something almost nobody expected. Around 727 BC, Piye marched north, and conquered Egypt itself. Piye and his successors didn't rule Egypt as foreign occupiers. They crowned themselves legitimate pharaohs, becoming Egypt's 25th dynasty, ruling both Nubia and Egypt together as one unified empire, stretching from the Mediterranean coast all the way deep into Africa. For nearly a century, black African kings sat on Egypt's throne, restoring temples, building new monuments, and presenting themselves as the true protectors of ancient Egyptian tradition. That golden age eventually ended when Assyrian invasions pushed the Kushites back out of Egypt entirely, forcing them to retreat permanently to their Nubian homeland. But rather than disappearing into history, Kush simply reinvented itself once again, eventually establishing a spectacular new capital at Meroë, further south along the Nile. And this is where the numbers most people don't know about come in. At Meroë, the Kushites built their own pyramids, hundreds of them, smaller and steeper than Egypt's, but constructed at an absolutely staggering rate. Today, archaeologists have identified over 250 Nubian pyramids across Sudan, more than the total number of pyramids ever built in Egypt. Kush also developed something Egypt never fully embraced: powerful female rulers, called Kandakes, or warrior queens, who ruled independently, not simply as wives standing beside kings. It made Kush one of the only major ancient civilizations with a documented, repeated tradition of female sovereigns holding real political and military power. One of these queens, Amanirenas, became legendary. Around 27 BC, when Roman forces under Emperor Augustus pushed south into Kushite territory, Amanirenas personally led her army against them, reportedly losing an eye in battle but refusing to retreat. Her forces struck Roman-controlled towns and, according to some accounts, brought back a bronze head of Augustus's own statue as a war trophy, buried under the entrance of a Kushite temple, so that everyone entering would forever walk over the emperor's face. The war eventually ended in a negotiated peace, remarkably favorable to Kush, an ancient African kingdom that had genuinely fought Rome to a standstill, at a time when Rome was conquering nearly everyone else it encountered. Kush continued flourishing for centuries afterward, trading gold, iron, and ivory across Africa and the Mediterranean, until it gradually declined and was finally dissolved by the mid-4th century AD. So why does almost nobody know this story? Historians point to a mix of factors: limited surviving written records, a script that remains only partially deciphered even today, and centuries of scholarship that simply centered Egypt while treating its southern neighbor as a footnote. But the physical evidence tells its own undeniable story: over 200 pyramids still standing in the Sudanese desert, monuments to an African empire that conquered pharaohs, crowned its own, and once made even Rome think twice.